What's up, everyone? How are you all? Today we are back with another blazing what if. What if neglected Naruto is Aizen Harem? If you enjoy this video, then play like, share, and do comment. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. So let's start this story.
The room was silent except for the scratch of a pencil. Naruto Uzumaki, 15, blonde, and far too still for someone who carried chaos in his veins, stared at the half-finished homework spread across his desk. Numbers blurred. Words lost meaning. His thoughts had already drifted somewhere else. Again, with a quiet sigh, Naruto stood and moved to his bed. He hesitated only a second before gripping the wooden frame and dragging it away from the wall. The floor beneath was worn, one plank darker than the rest. He knelt. Press. A muted click answered him. Naruto swallowed as a narrow section of the floor shifted open, revealing a shallow compartment. Inside rested a small, weathered box. He lifted it carefully, as if the contents might shatter from memory alone. The lid opened. A photograph lay on top. Four figures stood together beneath a summer sky. A silver-haired jonin rested gloved hands on the shoulders of three genin. One boy glared at the camera, dark eyes sharp and defensive. Another, blonde, smiling too wide, whisker marks bright against his cheeks, looked like he didn't yet understand how fragile happiness was. Between them stood a pink-haired girl, smiling gently, unaware of how much she would later regret her words. They all wore the same symbol, the leaf. Naruto's fingers trembled as he brushed the edge of the photo. Beneath it lay a folded orange jacket, older than the one he wore now, and a scratched forehead protector, metal dulled by time, but unmistakable. Konoha. I almost forgot how it felt, Naruto murmured to the empty room. To be me. 6 years. 6 years since he had vanished without goodbye. The memories pressed in, blood, shouting, promises made too late. Expectations that crushed instead of lifted. A dream that had turned into a burden the moment others decided it for him. A sudden voice shattered the silence. Oi, Naruto. You hiding secrets again? Naruto flinched and slammed the box shut just as a small, fox-shaped chakra construct popped into existence near the ceiling, arms crossed, and grinning far too knowingly. Kurama, Naruto growled. You're not supposed to be awake. The fox's grin widened. Hard not to be when you're digging up ghosts. Naruto stood and shoved the box back into the floor, snapping the panel shut. Mind your business. Kurama snorted. That box is my business. You can't pretend forever. Naruto didn't answer. He shoved the bed back into place and turned away. Some things were better left buried. The next day, lunch passed under open sky. Naruto sat on the academy rooftop, staring at the village below without really seeing it. Beside him, Sakura chatted absently, while Sasuke leaned against the railing, arms crossed, eyes scanning the horizon as if daring something to appear. Kakashi stood a short distance away, reading, but listening. Did you feel that chakra disturbance yesterday? Sakura asked suddenly. Naruto stiffened. Kakashi's visible eye curved slightly. I did. Sasuke frowned. It wasn't hostile, just searching. Naruto forced himself to take a sip of his drink. Lots of people search for things. Sakura shook her head. No, this felt specific, like someone was calling out. Kakashi closed his book. You're not wrong. I followed it briefly. Naruto's heart began to pound. There were 3 of them. Kakashi continued. They didn't hide their presence, almost like they wanted to be noticed. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. Describe them. Kakashi paused. One with silver hair, one with pink, one with black. The world tilted. Naruto nearly dropped his drink. Sakura noticed immediately. Naruto? You okay? Fine, he said too quickly. Just choked. Sasuke wasn't fooled. TCH. You're a terrible liar. Kakashi studied Naruto more closely now. They were asking about someone, he added casually. Naruto's chest tightened. Blonde, Kakashi said. Blue eyes. Whisker-like marks. Silence crashed down. Sakura's face drained of color. Sasuke froze. Naruto didn't breathe. They asked if he was alive. Sakura's hands clenched into fists. No way. Sasuke looked away, jaw tight. Why now? Naruto stood abruptly. I'm heading out after classes. Kakashi raised a brow. Anywhere specific? Naruto met his gaze, blue eyes dark and unreadable. Yeah, he said quietly. Somewhere the past doesn't stay buried. Later that evening, 3 figures walked through the village streets. Out of place, yet unmistakably shinobi. Kakashi spotted them first. Silver hair, pink hair, black hair. Team 7 had returned to the village that once broke them, and Naruto Uzumaki was standing right in their path. Sakura gasped. Sasuke's eyes widened just a fraction. Kakashi felt something in his chest crack. Naruto didn't move, didn't smile, didn't run. He simply stared at the people who had once been his world, and whispered, too softly for anyone but himself to hear. You should have stopped looking. The wind shifted. Chakra flared. And somewhere deep beneath Naruto's calm exterior, something old and dangerous stirred awake. Kakashi inclined his head slightly, his visible eye calm but heavy with thought. That is very kind, he said. If you find anything, let us know. With that, Team 7 turned away, vanishing into the crowd of the village streets. The moment they were gone, Shikamaru exhaled slowly. Is it just me? He muttered. Or did that Uchiha kid look like he wanted to murder whoever they're searching for? Sai tilted his head. His killing intent spiked noticeably when the blonde was mentioned. Naruto, who had been silent until now, spoke without looking at them. You're both right. That made Hinata turn sharply toward him. And Naruto-kun? Shikamaru frowned. You know something? Naruto finally met their eyes. The usual brightness wasn't there, only something old and tired. Meet me at Ichiraku, he said quietly. 5 o'clock. I'll explain everything. He paused, then added, voice lower. And tell Tsunade-bachan. Kakashi-sensei too. This involves all of them. Without waiting for a response, Naruto turned and walked away. Later, Uzumaki residence. The front door slid open. Naruto barely had time to step inside before a fist whistled toward his face. He moved. Clean. Efficient. No wasted motion. The punch missed by inches. Naruto. Kushina froze mid-swing, red hair settling as she stared at him. You didn't yell? Or counter? That's not like you. Minato stepped out from the kitchen, already serious. Something's wrong. Naruto didn't turn around as he walked toward the stairs. My past found me, he said. That was all. Minato's expression darkened instantly. Kushina, he said quietly. Get ready. We're going out. Naruto's room. The door shut. Naruto reached beneath his bed and pressed the hidden latch. Click. The floor panel opened. The box waited, just as it always had. He opened it. The photo stared back. Team 7. Before everything broke. Naruto clenched his jaw and closed the box, slinging it over his shoulder. This time, he murmured, I won't run. Evening, Ichiraku ramen. They were all there. Tsunade, Kakashi, Shikamaru, Sai, Hinata, and 3 figures standing apart, unmistakable even without words. Sakura Haruno, Sasuke Uchiha, Kakashi Hitaki. From before, silence fell the moment Naruto stepped into the lantern-lit street. Sakura's breath caught. Sasuke's eyes narrowed, Sharingan flickering unconsciously. Kakashi's hand tightened on his book. Naruto placed the box on the counter. Before anyone speaks, he said calmly, you deserve the truth. He opened it. The photograph passed from hand to hand. No one spoke. Finally, Tsunade whispered, Naruto. That boy, Naruto said, pointing at the smiling blonde in the picture, was 14. Sakura's eyes filled with tears. I was banished, Naruto continued. Not for failure. For succeeding. Sasuke looked up sharply. Explain. Naruto exhaled. The night I was born, a monster attacked Konoha. Stronger than anything you've faced since. A pause. My father sealed it into me. Minato stepped forward. I was supposed to be a hero, Naruto said softly. Instead, I became a container. The air felt heavy. And when I completed the mission that saved them all, Naruto finished. They decided the village would be safer without me. Silence shattered. Then, Sasuke spoke, voice sharp and venomous. So you disappeared, because they threw you away? Naruto didn't deny it. Tsunade slammed her fist into the counter, cracking wood. Those damn elders. There's more, Naruto interrupted. Outside, chakra suddenly surged. Everyone turned. Naruto stepped forward, hands forming a seal none of them recognized. Blue light ignited around him, spiraling upward. The sky split. A column of chakra erupted into the heavens. Far away, 3 shinobi stopped walking. Blonde hair, pink hair, black hair. All of them felt it. Sasuke's voice echoed softly. We found him. Blue chakra tore through the evening sky like a scream that refused to fade. Naruto stood alone outside Ichiraku, hands still locked in the unfamiliar seal as the pillar of light surged upward. The air vibrated. Windows rattled. Every shinobi within the village felt it, an unmistakable signature that carried both power and grief. Inside the shop, Tsunade stared at the doorway, knuckles white. "You idiot," she whispered. "After everything." Naruto didn't turn back. "If I don't face them now," he said quietly, "I never will." And then he vanished. Elsewhere, border forests of Fire Country. Night settled heavy among the trees. A small campfire crackled near the mouth of a shallow cave. 3 figures sat around it. Older now, sharper, worn in different ways by the same loss. Kakashi Hatake watched the flames without reading his book. Sakura Haruno stirred the pot absently, her eyes distant. Sasuke Uchiha leaned against a rock, arms crossed, expression unreadable. "Do you think we'll ever see Naruto again?" Sakura asked softly. The question lingered. Kakashi exhaled. "I don't know." Sasuke scoffed quietly. If he had any sense, he wouldn't come back. Sakura flinched, but said nothing. 5 years earlier, Hokage Tower, flashback. The training hall shook. Sakura slammed into the wall, barely blocking Tsunade's strike. Her arm screamed in protest, chakra flaring wildly. "Again," Tsunade ordered coldly. Sakura snapped. "Why are you doing this?" she shouted. "You're only acting like this because he's gone." Silence. The air dropped. Tsunade's eyes slowly lifted, burning. "What did you say?" "You heard me." Sakura yelled, tears streaming. "Naruto was banished, and you're taking it out on me." The next instant, Sakura couldn't breathe. Tsunade had her by the throat, lifting her effortlessly, slamming her against the stone. "You dare speak his name like that?" Tsunade snarled. "You have no right." She released Sakura, but her voice only grew colder. "Do you know why Naruto was called dead last?" "No." "Because his instructors sabotaged him." "Do you know why he failed clone techniques?" "No." "Because his chakra was too vast." Sakura trembled. "He was failed on purpose. Isolated on purpose. Broken slowly." Tsunade's fists clenched. "And when he still stood up, when he saved this village again and again, what did you all do?" Her voice cracked. "You cast him out." Sakura collapsed to her knees, gasping. "Get out," Tsunade said. Aftermath. Tsunade never trained Sakura again, not immediately. Instead, she threw a thick file at her feet. "Read," she said. "Then decide who you want to be." Sakura read until she was sick. Medical reports. EMBU surveillance logs. Beatings. Assassination attempts. Surgeries performed in secret. Naruto's life, reduced to ink and blood. She cried herself to sleep that night. And when she returned, she knelt. "I'll bring him back," Sakura said. "Even if he hates me." Tsunade smiled then, grim and proud. Present, the world without Naruto. Kakashi stared into the fire. After Naruto was banished, he said quietly, everything unraveled. Allies withdrew. Trade routes collapsed. Mission requests vanished. Countries Naruto had helped cut ties completely. Even Suna. Sakura clenched her fists. When the Sand proposed a political marriage, she whispered, they demanded Naruto. Sasuke's eyes widened slightly. And when the council tried to replace him, Kakashi continued. Gaara refused. The fire popped. He said Konoha would receive only minimal aid. Kakashi finished. Out of respect for Naruto. Silence fell. The children noticed, Sakura said. They asked why the hero of other lands was treated like trash here. And the council made it worse, Kakashi added. They exposed the truth. Sasuke looked away. But about a month ago, Sakura murmured. She swallowed. Something changed. Meanwhile, unknown clearing. The pillar of blue chakra faded. Naruto stood in a scorched clearing, breathing hard. 3 presences approached, familiar beyond reason. Silver chakra, green chakra, dark, biting lightning. Naruto didn't turn. I told you, he said quietly. You shouldn't have come. A voice answered, sharp, furious, and shaking. Naruto. Sakura. And then, a blade slid free of its sheath. Sasuke's voice was ice. You're not leaving again. Naruto finally turned. His eyes glowed. Not red, not blue, but something deeper. Then don't make me fight you, he said. The forest trembled. October 10th arrived without celebration. Tsunade sat alone in the Hokage's office, fingers drumming against the desk. irritation already building from a mountain of paperwork. The village was quiet, too quiet. Then, poof, chakra detonated in the room. Tsunade was on her feet instantly, killing intent flaring as cracks spiderwebbed beneath her sandals. Her hand hovered inches from the desk, ready to strike. Nothing attacked. Instead, 3 scrolls rested neatly atop her desk. Her eyes narrowed. 2 of them were large, ancient, sealed with blood-locked markings so dense they pulsed faintly with chakra. The third was smaller, plain, and unmistakably addressed to the Hokage. Tsunade's breath caught. She reached for the smallest scroll first. As she read, her expression hardened, then shifted, then finally twisted into something dangerous. "Shizun," she called. The door burst open moments later. "Lady Tsunade, what happened?" Tsunade looked up slowly. "Call the council. Every available senior shinobi," she said. 1 hour. Shizun blinked. "Is this an emergency?" Tsunade smiled, sharp and feral. "No," she said. "This is overdue." 1 hour later, council chamber. The chamber buzzed with irritation and arrogance. A civilian councilman scoffed openly as Tsunade entered. "Hokage-sama, must we truly be summoned on such short?" Tsunade ignored him completely. She sat, placed the 3 scrolls on the table, and instantly several clan heads stiffened. Hayashi Hyuga's eyes narrowed. "That seal, the Namikaze archive?" Tsunade picked up the smallest scroll. "Sit," she said calmly. Hayashi obeyed. She cleared her throat. "This message was prepared by the 3rd Hokage," she began. "It was to be read only under specific conditions." A civilian voice cut in. "Why are we hearing about that boy?" The room erupted in mutters. Tsunade's chakra slammed outward. "Silence," she said coldly, "or leave this room permanently." No one spoke again. She continued. "If you are hearing this," the recorded message read, "then one of 3 things has occurred. Naruto Uzumaki has achieved Jonin rank, has reached adulthood, or has awakened one of his inheritances." The chamber exploded into chaos. "Inheritances? What is this nonsense?" Tsunade raised her hand. "The truth," she said, "that you buried." She met every gaze in the room. "Naruto's full name is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze." Gasps rippled outward. "He is the legal heir to the Namikaze estate," Tsunade continued, "and the bearer of a spatial lineage technique, one capable of instantaneous relocation through chakra imprint and mental visualization." Kakashi's breath hitched. "Minato's son. And that," Tsunade added, lifting the twin sealed scrolls, "is only 1/2. She placed her palm atop the second seal. "The Uzumaki and Senju bloodlines converge in him. What manifests differs by individual. In Naruto's case," her eyes hardened, "it grants adaptability, elemental resonance, growth without ceiling." Silence fell, heavy and suffocating. "These scrolls contain the combined legacies of both clans," Tsunade finished. "Locked to Naruto's blood alone." The chamber erupted again. Arguments, denials, fury. Hayashi stood slowly. "The boy," he said quietly, "was promised." Eyes turned. "To my clan," Hayashi continued. "A political engagement meant to stabilize the future." Regret shadowed his expression. "I failed him." Across the room, Kakashi felt something inside him fracture. He remembered every time Naruto had been passed over. Every excuse. Every compromise. "I let it happen." Tsunade slammed her fist into the table. The stone shattered. "I did not call you here to argue history," she snarled. "I called you to decide what we do now." Danzo spoke calmly. "Recall him," he said. "Place him under direct control." Jiraiya snorted. "You think chains will bring him back?" A voice cut through the chamber, lazy, sharp, and undeniable. "The answer's obvious," Shikaku Nara said. "We offer him something worth returning for." Tsunade's smile was slow. "The Hokage seat," Shikaku continued. "And the village admits its failure." The vote followed. The decision passed. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze would be recalled. Team 7 would retrieve him. Present, forest camp. The fire crackled low. Sakura stared into the flames. "That's why they sent us," she whispered. Kakashi nodded. "Yes." Sasuke scoffed. "He's still not worthy." Sakura spun on him. "You lost that right when you abandoned the village." Before Kakashi could intervene, the forest screamed. Chakra detonated in the distance, vast, violent, unmistakable. Sakura shot to her feet. "Sensei, look." A pillar of blue light tore into the sky. Kakashi's blood ran cold. Naruto. Sasuke's Sharingan spun violently. That power should have been mine. They moved as one, leaping through the trees toward the source, unaware that Naruto had already sensed them. And this time, he wasn't planning to hold back. The chakra storm faded as suddenly as it had appeared. Naruto stood just outside the shop, breathing slow and controlled, the blue glow around him thinning into nothing. The air still trembled, heavy with the residue of power that did not belong to an ordinary shinobi. Inside, several presences stirred. Sakura was the first to speak, her voice unsteady. Naruto? What was that? Naruto didn't answer immediately. He flexed his fingers once, grounding himself, then turned toward her. It felt familiar, she continued quietly. But not like any jutsu I know. Naruto exhaled. Because chakra is shaped by intent, he said. I just stopped limiting it. Kakashi's eye sharpened. Chad. No. Choji, who had arrived with Shikamaru earlier, stared in awe. That power, Choji muttered. It's like pure life force. Naruto nodded once. Closest comparison. He glanced toward the shop door. We'll talk later. Right now, I need answers. Before anyone could ask what he meant, he reached into the box at his side and slipped a small necklace into his pocket. Old, worn, but precious. 10 minutes later, 3 figures landed in the clearing. Kakashi Hitaki straightened first, calm masking shock. Sakura froze. Sasuke's Sharingan spun instantly. Naruto waited for them without hostility, but without warmth. Kakashi broke the silence. You guided us here. That chakra spike wasn't accidental. Naruto's mouth curved into a humorless smile. Good. Means you're still sharp. Sasuke scoffed. So this was a trap? No, Naruto replied flatly. This was a choice. You followed. He stepped forward once. And before you ask, he added, yes, I know why you're here. And no, it's not because you suddenly care. Kakashi stiffened. Naruto's gaze hardened. Don't insult me by pretending this is about regret instead of politics. Sasuke clicked his tongue. So you are holding a grudge. Naruto looked at him then, really looked. 5 years alone teaches clarity, he said. Not bitterness. Inside the shop, Karen whispered, 5 years? That doesn't add up. Shikamaru murmured back, different growth rate. Time's off. Outside. Kakashi raised a hand. Naruto, we came to ask you to return. The council. Naruto cut him off, pulling the necklace free. Kakashi's eye widened. That belonged to Kushina, Kakashi whispered. Naruto closed his fist around it. She gave it to me after I won a bet. Said I'd need proof someday in case people forgot who I was. Sakura swallowed. Naruto, what do you want from us? Naruto met her eyes. Truth. The breaking point. We want you to be Hokage, Kakashi said. Silence. Then, Sasuke laughed. Hokage, he sneered. After everything? Don't make me laugh. Naruto didn't react. Sasuke stepped forward, lightning crawling over his hand. You're still not worthy. The forest flashed orange. Sasuke never saw Naruto move. One heartbeat, he was charging. The next, all the air vanished from his lungs. Naruto's fist was buried in his abdomen, chakra disrupting every pathway at once. Sasuke collapsed, limbs locking as if seized by invisible chains. Naruto stood over him, expression calm. You never learned, he said quietly. Power without restraint is still weakness. Sakura stared, stunned. Kakashi felt cold. No hand signs. No wasted motion. 2 young girls burst from the shop. Brother, Yuzu cried. Karen didn't hesitate. She kicked Sasuke square in the ribs. You attacked him, she shouted. You don't touch our family. Naruto knelt, pulling Yuzu close. You don't mind? He asked softly. Karen punched his shoulder, hard. Idiot. Blood doesn't decide family. For the first time, Kakashi smiled behind his mask. He has what we never gave him. The apology. Naruto rose and turned back to Sakura. You cried for me, he said. Why? Sakura broke. She couldn't speak, only grabbed him, sobbing into his chest. I was wrong, she cried. About everything. Please forgive me. Naruto rested a hand on her back. I forgive you, he said gently. She looked up, hope flickering. But forgiveness isn't trust, he continued. That has to be earned. By you. By the village. Sakura nodded through tears. Naruto stepped back. Now, he said, we talk inside. He glanced at Kakashi. And my name isn't Naruto anymore. Kakashi hesitated. Then what should I call you? Naruto didn't look back. Ichigo, he said. That's the name I built my life with. Inside the shop, the door shut. Tension filled the room. Shikamaru studied Naruto carefully. You've learned techniques that shouldn't exist. Naruto shrugged. When the world throws you away, you adapt. Before anyone could respond, a sudden pressure slammed down on the building. Cold, ancient, predatory. Naruto's head snapped up. They followed us, he muttered. Outside, chakra signatures flared. Multiple. Hostile. Naruto smiled grimly. Looks like the past didn't come alone. Silence hung heavy in the underground chamber. Shikamaru was the first to break it. Then why haven't you used these techniques before now? Naruto, Ichigo, exhaled slowly. Because most high-level shinobi could counter them, he replied calmly. And because half the time, I didn't need to. A few nods followed. Then Jiraiya, leaning against a stone pillar, smirked. And because you couldn't remember all the seals properly, right? Naruto shot him a flat look. That is irrelevant. Jiraiya laughed. Naruto turned away before the teasing could continue. We're going deeper. What I'm about to explain shouldn't be overheard. Without waiting, he stepped to the center of the floor and pressed his palm against a faintly glowing seal. Stone shifted. The ground split open, revealing a massive shaft descending into darkness, a ladder carved into the stone walls disappearing far below. Careful, Naruto said. The drop isn't forgiving. Without hesitation, Jiraiya jumped in first, laughing on the way down, followed by Tsunade, Kakashi, Shikamaru, Sakura, and the others. Naruto paused when he reached Yuzu and Karen. Stay close to Hinata, he said gently. I'll slow your fall. They nodded without fear. Naruto turned back just in time to hear. What about me? His adoptive father called. I'm not exactly built for falling. Naruto sighed, then punched him square in the face. I still hate perverts, Naruto muttered. The man groaned, but laughed anyway. Naruto glanced back at Team 7. One at a time. I'll cushion the landing. Sasuke scoffed. What are you going to do? Catch us. Naruto calmly slapped another strip of sealing tape over Sasuke's mouth. Much better. The descent. The fall was long. Then, wind-style, spiral current. A controlled vortex formed beneath them, slowing their descent until feet touched stone. Sakura gasped. The underground chamber was enormous, larger than the Hokage monument, lit by glowing seals embedded in the walls. The air felt alive, saturated with chakra. Kakashi stared. This place shouldn't exist. Naruto stepped forward. After my banishment, he said, Jiraiya found me. Kakashi stiffened. He took me to Mount Myaboku. That name hit hard. There, Naruto continued. I trained in sage mode. Kakashi's visible eye widened. You mastered it? Naruto shook his head. No. Then he closed his eyes. The air changed. Nature chakra surged. Orange pigmentation formed around his eyes as his pupils sharpened into slitted focus. The pressure alone forced several people to take a step back. This, Naruto said, voice deeper, steadier, is mastery. Sakura felt it immediately, the weight, the awareness. In this state, Naruto continued, I can sense life itself. That's how I knew you were coming. He let the chakra fade. But sage mode wasn't my only training. Sasuke breaks. The bindings snapped. Lightning flared. Dai-do. Sasuke lunged, blade drawn, eyes wild. Naruto didn't dodge. He reached behind his shoulder and drew a massive cleaver-like blade from a seal, the metal humming with chakra. Clang. Sasuke's sword was stopped cold. Naruto looked genuinely disappointed. You trained in Kenjutsu, he said quietly, but you never learned when to stop. With a flick of his wrist, chakra detonated along the blade's edge. The shockwave hurled Sasuke into a stone pillar. He didn't get up. Naruto walked over, bound him again without ceremony, and turned back to the others. No more interruptions. No one argued. The second path. Naruto took a breath. After Mount Myaboku, I traveled alone for a month. Then I reached the land of spring. Shikamaru frowned. Spring. Naruto nodded. That's where I met my second teacher. The chamber grew still. He didn't teach me chakra, Naruto continued. He taught me control, weapons, killing intent, and restraint. Kakashi felt a chill. And then, Naruto said quietly, I learned what the village never wanted me to become. He looked up. Someone who didn't need Konoha. The seals along the walls pulsed. Outside, something shifted. Naruto's head snapped toward the ceiling. We're out of time. A new chakra signature erupted above ground. Cold, familiar, and furious. Naruto smiled grimly. Looks like my third teacher finally found me. Flashback, Land of Spring. Naruto moved through the narrow streets with his hood pulled low, senses sharp. He wasn't hunting, but chakra clashing nearby snapped his attention instantly. Steel rang. Shouts echoed. Naruto broke into a sprint. Turning into a narrow alley, he found chaos. Half a dozen shinobi wearing snow country headbands swarming a towering man built like living iron. The man stood firm, shielding a woman behind him. Naruto's breath caught. Yuki, the queen of the Land of Spring, was backed against the wall, blood trickling from a cut above her brow, but her eyes were fierce. The giant laughed as he deflected another strike. You mercenaries never change, he roared. Your tyrant paid you well. So now you throw a tantrum because the throne belongs to someone worthy. Naruto didn't hesitate. Chakra spiraled in his palm. He stepped in and drove the Rasengan straight through the attackers. Bodies flew. Snow shinobi scattered. Yuki's eyes widened. Naruto, she shouted, relief flooding her voice. The giant glanced at him, eyebrow raised. So you're the kid Her Majesty keeps praising, he said. You don't look like much. Naruto scowled. And you look like a terrible bodyguard, starting a brawl with your client right behind you. The man barked out a laugh. I like you, he said. Got guts. He cracked his knuckles. Name's Rockin'. After this mess, I'll train you. Naruto smirked. Fine. But if I die, I'm haunting you. Rockin' laughed louder. And together, they tore through the remaining attackers. Flashback ends. It was Rockin'-sensei, Naruto said quietly, who pushed my body beyond its limits. Kakashi felt dizzy. During that training, Naruto continued. The Rasengan finally stabilized. Kakashi swallowed hard. Minato, he finished it. Naruto didn't notice. His gaze was distant. Rockin' trained me for months. Taijutsu, conditioning, endurance. He taught me how to survive without chakra. He paused. But my last teacher, his eyes lifted, was the one Sasuke needs to hear about. Naruto nodded to his adoptive father, who uncorked a small bottle and waved it beneath Sasuke's nose. Sasuke jolted awake, immediately struggling against his restraints. Naruto spoke. My final sensei was Itachi Uchiha. The chamber went dead silent. Sasuke froze. Sakura felt the blood drain from her face. Why? She whispered. Why would you train with the man who slaughtered his clan? Naruto's voice didn't shake. Because he was ordered to. Sasuke stopped moving. Naruto continued. The village suspected the Uchiha of controlling the Nine Tails, he said. They weren't wrong, Madara Uchiha did it. Gasps spread. The clan planned a coup. Itachi was placed as a spy. Naruto's eyes hardened. Danzo discovered it. Sasuke's breathing turned ragged. He gave Itachi a choice, Naruto said. Kill the clan quietly, or Danzo would do it publicly and erase the Uchiha name forever. Silence crushed the room. Itachi spared one life. Naruto continued. Yours. Not out of weakness, out of love. Sasuke's eyes burned. He wanted you to hate him, Naruto said. To grow strong enough to kill him. To restore your clan's honor. Sasuke shook violently. And Danzo? Naruto finished. Itachi warned him. Touch Sasuke, and the truth would burn Konoha to the ground. Naruto exhaled. He trained me because I saved you once, Naruto said. And because my father's wish was betrayed. Sakura's knees buckled. The seal. Itachi explained everything. Naruto continued. Why I was chosen. What the seal really did. Kakashi tensed. Did? Naruto nodded slowly. The Nine Tails isn't sealed anymore. Every eye snapped to him. He's not gone, Naruto clarified. He's integrated. Shock rippled outward. I dismantled the seal, Naruto said. Merged the chakra into my own network. That's impossible, Kakashi whispered. Naruto looked at him calmly. I didn't absorb a demon, he said. I became complete. He tapped his chest. The Nine Tails was never a prisoner anymore. He became a core. No one spoke. Naruto turned, placing his hand on a white-haired young shinobi who stood stunned. My soul fractured during the process, Naruto said. One half carried instinct. The other carried balance. The boy's eyes widened. Me? Naruto nodded. You were the anchor, he said quietly. Without knowing it, the seals around the chamber flared. Above them, a new chakra surged. Dark. Rotting. Naruto's smile vanished. Danzo, he muttered. And for the first time since Team 7 arrived, Naruto's killing intent fully awakened. The underground chamber was quiet, too quiet. Shikamaru broke the silence first. Even if we accept the theory, he said carefully, how can you be sure he's the other half of you? Naruto. Ichigo raised an eyebrow. How? He echoed. That part's easy. He lifted one finger. First, when I was younger, before the whisker marks became permanent, I looked almost exactly like him. Toshiro stiffened slightly. Naruto lifted a second finger. Second, every time I'm close to him, his chakra reacts. Not aggressively. Not defensively. Naruto glanced at him. Like déjà vu. Like something missing trying to remember itself. Toshiro hesitated, then nodded. The room murmured. Naruto lifted a third finger. And third, his chakra has never harmed me. Even when it should have. That made several jonin exchange looks. Naruto sighed. You still don't believe me. He turned fully to Toshiro. Then there's only one way to prove it. Toshiro straightened. What do you want me to do? Attack me, Naruto said calmly. Sakura's breath caught. Naruto, are you insane? Naruto shook his head. When two chakra cores originate from the same soul, they reject mutual harm unless one completely dominates the other. Several senior shinobi stiffened at that. That kind of resonance theory, Kakashi muttered. It's old. Pre-village era. Naruto nodded. Exactly. Toshiro drew in a breath and pulled his blade free. Not a spiritual weapon, but a chakra-conductive sword etched with ice-release seals. I won't hold back, he warned. I don't want you to, Naruto replied. Toshiro moved. The strike was clean, fast enough to cleave stone. The blade reached Naruto's chest and shattered. Ice chakra fractured mid-swing, dispersing harmlessly around Naruto's body before reforming behind him like mist. The chamber froze. No blood. No impact. Just absolute rejection. Everyone stared. That's impossible, Sakura whispered. Naruto turned, grinning faintly. Now you believe me. Toshiro stared at his blade, then laughed softly. So it's true, he said. We were once the same. Ranjika stepped forward, shaken. You can't be serious. If this is real, then what happens to you? Toshiro looked at Naruto. A split soul isn't meant to stay divided, he said quietly. If I'm operating at half capacity, so is he. His jaw set. And there are enemies out there I can't stop like this. Ranjika swallowed. You're saying you want to rejoin? Yes. The word hit like thunder. Kakashi exhaled slowly. If you do that, the resulting chakra density would be monstrous, Shikamaru finished. Potentially unstable. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Yeah, about that. Toshiro frowned. You don't know how to do it, do you? Naruto winced. Nope. Dead silence. Then, I might, Hinata said softly. All eyes turned to her. She stepped forward, hands clenched but steady. My chakra doesn't create things, she said. It restores what should exist. Naruto's eyes sharpened. You mean rejection of false states? Hinata nodded. If your soul was unnaturally divided, I might be able to undo that separation. Shikamaru frowned deeply. That's not healing. That's rewriting reality. Hinata swallowed. I know. Naruto studied her for a long moment. It might work, he admitted. Your chakra doesn't force outcomes. It denies incorrect ones. Toshiro stepped beside him. If this fails, he said calmly, I accept the risk. Ranjika grabbed his sleeve. Idiot. He smiled at her. I'll be back. Stronger. The chamber trembled faintly. Above them, a rotting, invasive chakra pressed down like a suffocating fog. Naruto's expression hardened instantly. We don't have much time, he said. He looked at Toshiro. If we do this, Naruto said quietly, we do it now. And somewhere above, a familiar voice laughed softly. Good, Danzo Shimura whispered. Let's see what happens when you try to become whole. Ranjika crossed her arms, still unconvinced. Even if your theory is right, how can you be sure that Toshiro is truly part of you? Naruto. Ichigo raised an eyebrow. 3 reasons, he said calmly. He lifted one finger. First, when I was younger, before the whisker marks settled, I looked almost exactly like him. A few heads turned between them. He lifted a second finger. Second, his chakra reacts to mine. Not hostility. Not pressure. Naruto glanced at Toshiro. Nostalgia. Like standing next to something you lost. Toshiro hesitated, then nodded. Naruto raised a third finger. And third, his chakra has never injured me. Ever. The room fell silent. Naruto sighed. There's only one way to prove it. He turned to Dashiro. Strike me. Sakura's breath hitched. Naruto, don't. Naruto shook his head. Two fragments of the same soul can't destroy each other unless one dominates completely. Tashiro drew his blade, chakra frosting the air around it. I won't hesitate, he warned. I don't want you to, Naruto replied. Tashiro lunged. The blade stopped inches from Naruto's chest and disintegrated into harmless chakra mist, reforming behind him. No wound. No resistance. Just rejection. Everyone stared. Tashiro laughed quietly. So it's true. Ranjika stepped forward, shaken. You're really planning to become whole again? Yes, Tashiro answered. Because half of me isn't enough to face what's coming. Naruto scratched the back of his head. Small problem, he admitted. I don't actually know how to fuse us. Dead silence. Then, I can try. All eyes turned to Orihime. She stepped forward, hands trembling but steady. My chakra doesn't heal, she said softly. It rejects outcomes that shouldn't exist. Naruto's eyes sharpened. That might work. Tashiro nodded. I accept the risk. Orihime inhaled deeply and touched her flower hairpins. I reject, she whispered. Chakra bloomed. An amber, oval barrier formed around Naruto and Tashiro, not pulling wounds away, but drawing them closer. The air warped. They drifted toward one another. Tashiro's voice was calm. Is this the end for me? Naruto shook his head, placing a hand on his shoulder. No, he said softly. It's only the beginning. Light exploded outward. When it faded, a single man stood where two once had. He was taller now, broader. Blonde hair streaked faintly with red. Blue eyes deep and steady. 3 faint whisker marks traced his cheeks. Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze. Power rolled off him like heat. The women looked away, blushing. Naruto flexed his arm, wincing slightly. Yeah, these clothes don't fit anymore. He turned to Orihime and gently lifted her chin. Thank you, he said sincerely. Then, before anyone could stop him, he kissed her. Orihime promptly fainted. Naruto caught her easily, chuckling. Just like Hinata. After Orihime was revived, Naruto changed into looser clothes. Black pants, sandals, a white shirt, and a long black coat traced with orange spirals. 2 swords rested crossed on his back, shorter now, balanced. He sat before the group. 1 question each, Naruto said. And call me Naruto. He looked at Karen and Yuzu first. Karen swallowed. Why did you shut us out after Mom died? Naruto's eyes burned. Because I was afraid, he admitted. I thought everyone close to me would disappear. So I pushed you away and prepared to vanish myself. Orihime listened quietly, understanding at last. Yuzu asked softly, how did you leave this world and come here? Naruto smiled sadly. Flashback, the choice. Naruto was 14. Orange hair tied back. Eyes steady. No whisker marks yet. He stood alone in the forest, map in hand. Nowhere safe to go. Akatsuki hunted him. Konoha was closed. Other villages were death. I wish I could start over, he muttered. A voice answered. There is such a place. Naruto spun, kunai drawn. An old man stood there, small, calm, unreadable. There's a cave, the man said. A path judged by the will of the world itself. And the price? Naruto demanded. Your life as you know it. Naruto considered it. What do you want? The man smiled, pointing to Naruto's hair. A memory. Naruto cut his ponytail and handed it over. He ran into the cave without looking back. Behind him, the old man chuckled. Good luck, Naruto Namikaze. The cave seemed endless. Naruto ran without stopping, breath growing heavier with every step as his chakra slowly drained away. His legs burned, vision blurring at the edges, yet the old man's words echoed relentlessly in his mind. No regrets. No desires. Don't look back. So he kept running. Time lost meaning inside the darkness. There was no wind, no sound. Only the pounding of his heart and the echo of his footsteps. Just when it felt like the cave would never end, a faint glow appeared ahead. Light. Not the metaphorical kind. Real, solid light. Naruto pushed forward, ignoring the exhaustion, until he burst out of the tunnel and into open air. Trees. Real trees. Tall and unfamiliar. Beyond them, distant structures rose into the sky, far taller than anything in Konoha. I made it, Naruto breathed. Then he stumbled. He caught himself on the ground, confused, before his eyes widened. The world felt bigger. No, he was smaller. Naruto stared at his hands. They were tiny. His body had shrunk drastically. You've got to be kidding me. At most, he looked 4 years old. After checking his gear, Naruto realized only one thing still fit: his old orange jumpsuit. He grimaced. It wasn't that he hated it, but after years of training, lectures from his sensei, and a deliberate effort to mature, he tried hard to move away from being that Naruto. Especially after his hair had permanently shifted to a vivid orange, something he loved and Itachi had nearly had a heart attack over. With a resigned sigh, Naruto pulled on the lower half of the jumpsuit and a loose black shirt from his storage scroll. Might as well make camp, he muttered. 2 weeks later, a woman walked peacefully through the forest trail. She was in her early 30s, with long blonde hair, gentle features, and a visible pregnancy. Despite her condition, her steps were confident and relaxed. She smiled to herself, enjoying the fresh air. Masaki. She turned toward the voice, spotting her husband approaching from behind. Yes, dear, she asked warmly. Isshin Kurosaki frowned slightly. Are you sure you should be hiking? You're 5 months along. Masaki waved him off. Fresh air is good for the babies. Besides, the meadow up ahead is perfect for a picnic. Isshin hesitated. What about wild animals? Bears? Mountain lions? Masaki placed her hands on her hips. Isshin Kurosaki, were you always this nervous? Or did marriage do this to you? She pointed ahead. There's a stream. We're eating there. Isshin sighed. He had already lost. The smell of food didn't go unnoticed. A low growl rumbled behind them. Isshin froze. Masaki slowly turned. A massive bear loomed just meters away, foam dripping from its jaws, eyes bloodshot with madness. Rabbit. The beast reared back and swung a massive paw toward Masaki. Masaki. Isshin screamed. She closed her eyes. Slap. Warm liquid splashed across her face. But there was no pain. Masaki opened one eye. The bear roared, not in triumph, but agony. A small kunai was buried deep in its paw. A child's voice echoed calmly from the trees. Hey, don't you know it's rude to ruin someone's picnic? Masaki turned. Her breath caught. A tiny boy stood there, no older than 4. Spiky orange hair. Oversized black shirt. Orange pants rolled up at the ankles. Kawaii, she whispered without thinking. The boy moved. Too fast. After images formed as he assaulted the bear with precise strikes. Chakra flared in his hand, condensed, swirling, bright blue. Masaki's eyes widened. Rasengan. The child drove it forward. The explosion of force hurled the bear backward, slamming it into the trees where it collapsed unconscious. The boy staggered, panting. He retrieved his kunai, wiped it clean on the grass, then walked over to Masaki. You should be more careful, he said seriously, and promptly collapsed. Masaki caught him before he hit the ground. Isshin, she shouted. Help me now. Isshin stared at the unconscious child, pale. Masaki. That energy, it felt like spirit pressure. Masaki glared at him. This child just saved my life and our children. We are taking him home. She turned and marched down the path with the boy in her arms. Isshin followed, helpless. He couldn't explain it. But something about that child, that power, made his soul tremble. Silence followed Tsunade's words. Sakura felt her chest tighten. Naruto Uzumaki. The name alone carried weight, regret, guilt, longing. Sasuke scoffed, arms crossed. So that's what this is about. Kakashi closed his visible eye briefly, then nodded. Yes. Tsunade leaned back in her chair. You will locate him, confirm his condition, and, if possible, convince him to return. Sakura swallowed. Where do we start? That's the problem, Tsunade admitted. We don't know. She slid a thin folder across the desk. Inside were old patrol routes, abandoned mission reports, and one detail circled in red. Unexplained chakra disturbance. It appeared 2 weeks ago, Tsunade said, in the mountains bordering the northern forests. Faded quickly, almost intentionally. Kakashi stiffened. That area, he said slowly, has no villages, no trade routes. Sasuke's eyes narrowed. So why would Naruto be there? Tsunade's gaze hardened. That's what you're going to find out. 3 days later, northern forests. The forest felt wrong. Too quiet. Even the wind seemed hesitant. Sakura paused mid-step. Do you feel that? Kakashi nodded. Residual chakra. Old, but layered. Sasuke scoffed. You're imagining things. But even he slowed when the air grew heavier. Then Sakura saw it. Vines thicker than her arm covered the cliff face, unnatural in their density. Beneath them, the stone wall curved inward, almost like a wound that had tried to heal. There, she whispered. They cleared the foliage. A cave entrance yawned before them, dark, narrow, unassuming. Sasuke frowned. That's it. Looks like nothing. Kakashi crouched, pressing 2 fingers to the stone. His eye widened. This cave isn't natural, he said quietly. The chakra inside it doesn't belong to this land. Sakura's breath caught. You mean? Yes, Kakashi replied. Dimensional residue. Sasuke's glare sharpened. You're saying Naruto went in there? Kakashi stood and came out somewhere else. Present, underground chamber. Naruto listened without interrupting, arms resting loosely on his knees. So you didn't track me, he said at last. You stumbled onto the door I used. Sakura nodded. We didn't even know what it was at first. Naruto let out a soft breath. Figures. Kakashi studied him closely. You knew we might find it someday. Naruto shrugged. I hoped you wouldn't. There was no bitterness in his voice, only truth. Sakura clenched her hands. Naruto, when we accepted the mission, we didn't know what we'd find. But when Tsunade said your name, her voice shook. I wanted to believe you were alive. Naruto looked at her then, really looked. I was, he said. But not the way you remember. Sasuke scoffed. So all of this, new name, new life, that was your escape? Naruto's eyes hardened. No, he said quietly. It was survival. The chamber rumbled faintly. Shikamaru frowned. That's not good. Naruto's head snapped up. They've activated it, he muttered. Activated what? Sakura asked. Naruto stood. The contingency. Above them, chakras surged, violent, invasive, unmistakably root. Kakashi swore under his breath. Danzo. Naruto's expression went cold. Not angry, not afraid. Resolved. Looks like the village made its choice, he said calmly. He turned back to them. You wanted to retrieve Naruto Uzumaki, he said. But you found Ichigo Kurosaki. His chakra flared, controlled, immense. And I'm done running. The ceiling cracked. Footsteps echoed above. And the cave that once led to escape was about to become a battlefield. Sasuke slammed his palm against the wall of the Hokage's office. Hold on, he snapped. Why is he being brought back? Tsunade didn't flinch. She met his glare head-on. Because, she said flatly, Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze is being considered as the next Hokage. She turned away, muttering under her breath. And he never should have been banished in the first place. That was it. Sasuke's temper ignited, but before he could explode, Kakashi raised a hand. Hokage-sama, he said carefully. It would help if you explained everything from the beginning. Tsunade exhaled and nodded. Fine. Let me restate the mission clearly. Her eyes swept across the room. Team 7 is being reactivated for an A2S rank search and retrieval operation. Sakura straightened. The target, Tsunade continued, is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, heir to the Uzumaki and Namikaze clans, and candidate for the Hokage position. Sakura's breath hitched. Nah, Namikaze. Yes, Tsunade confirmed. The 4th Hokage's son. The room went silent. This mission will last 2 months, Tsunade finished. If you fail, a new team will be assigned. Understood. But what if he's dead? Sakura asked quietly. Or worse. A new voice answered from the window. Oh, the brat's alive. That much I'm sure of. They turned. Jiraiya sat perched on the sill, gaze distant. The toads can't locate him directly, he admitted. Something's interfering. But they assure me he's breathing. Can't you reverse summon him? Kakashi asked. Normally, yes, Jiraiya replied. But whatever Naruto stepped into blocks that entirely. He paused. The last confirmed traces place him somewhere between the sea country and the bird country. Tsunade nodded once. That's your starting point. Team 7 move out. 2 weeks later, Borderlands. Sasuke snapped. Where did that idiot go? He rarely shouted. Which told Sakura just how deep the frustration ran. Every village they visited told the same story. Bandits driven off, monsters slain, impossible odds overcome. Always by the same man. And always the same introduction. My name is Naruto Uzumaki. I have no home. The moment people learned Team 7 hailed from Konoha, doors closed. Conversations ended. Glares followed. Eventually, They removed their hitayate and dressed as civilians just to be spoken to. Still nothing. No trail. No direction. Where are you, Naruto? Sakura whispered. Night fell as they walked the road between sea and bird country. A small cottage appeared ahead. They exchanged looks and agreed silently to stop. An elderly woman answered the door, silver hair, crimson eyes sharp despite her age. Kakashi bowed politely. My name is Kakashi. We're travelers seeking shelter for the night. We'll pay. The woman studied them, then smiled. You may stay. My name is Riesa. She paused, eyes glinting. And I see more than most. Sakura stiffened. You're a seer? A fortune teller, Riesa replied calmly. Curiosity and desperation won. Inside, Riesa led Sakura to a dim room filled with symbols, candles, and a crystal sphere. Give me your hand, the woman said. Riesa studied Sakura's palm, expression unreadable. You seek someone you once hurt, she said quietly. Kakashi's eye widened. Sakura nodded. He was feared for what he carried, Riesa continued. Cast aside despite his deeds. Another nod. You wish to bring him back. Riesa laid out cards, slow, deliberate. The one you seek still lives, she said. You will meet again. Hope flickered. Then Riesa turned over the next cards. But he is no longer in this realm. The air went cold. To reach him, Riesa continued, you must cross beyond your world. And know this, once you step onto that path, there is no guarantee of return unless you find him. Sakura swallowed hard. This journey, Riesa finished, is one way, unless Naruto Uzumaki chooses otherwise. Silence filled the room. Outside, wind howled through the trees. And somewhere far beyond their world, Naruto walked a path no shinobi had ever returned from. Sakura swallowed hard. How? She asked quietly. How do we get there? Riesa turned the final card. By walking a road that only the desperate can see, the old woman said. A sacred passage, a hidden cave, a place that exists between worlds. Sakura's breath caught. You know where it is? Yes, Riesa replied calmly. It lies behind this home. All three shinobi froze. My husband discovered it long ago, Riesa continued. This cottage was built as a refuge for those who crossed over and lost their way back. Kakashi stood immediately. Please, take us to it. Riesa nodded and led them behind the cottage, where thick vines concealed a narrow stone opening. The same cave Naruto had once run through without looking back. Sasuke studied it with narrowed eyes. You're saying this leads to another world? Yes, Riesa answered flatly. She turned to Sakura, her crimson eyes intense. Listen carefully, child. You will meet him again, but I cannot tell you when or where. She paused. And remember, only he can guide you home. Sakura steadied herself, inhaled deeply, and nodded. Kakashi gave a single approving nod. Sasuke scoffed, but stepped forward. At the same unspoken signal, they ran into the darkness. Behind them, Riesa smiled softly. I know you'll return, Naruto, she whispered. Just as my son once did. The cottage faded like mist. Flashback ends. And after we crossed through, Sakura finished, we saw the city. Then minutes later, Shizune found us, as if she'd been walking those woods her entire life. Naruto listened quietly, arms folded. Then Might Guy stepped forward, eyes blazing with excitement. So you're Naruto Uzumaki, he boomed. Fight me. Naruto blinked, then laughed. Sure. Later this week. Full strength. Guy grinned wildly. I like you. Naruto turned back to the others. Shizune frowned thoughtfully. Naruto, earlier you mentioned your chakra changed when the Nine Tails merged with you. What did you mean? Naruto exhaled slowly. The seal didn't just break, he said. It evolved. The chakra stopped being something I contained and became something I am. Sasuke, calmer now, spoke next. What did my brother teach you? Naruto closed his eyes. Jinjutsu theory, he said. I can't cast illusions, but I can dismantle most of them instantly. He opened his eyes. They had changed. The whites were dark, the pupils pale, the irises glowing gold. Several people stepped back instinctively. What is that? Sai asked quietly. This, Naruto said, is the Senkagen, the flash eye. He tapped his temple. My bloodline technique, space step, used to require seals or anchors. My father created markers to compensate. Naruto's gaze sharpened. The Senkagen removes that weakness. Shikamaru frowned. How? I can predict movement like the Sharingan, Naruto explained, and see extreme distances like the Byakugan, but not perfectly. No copying. No chakra points. A pause. In exchange, I can reflect Jinjutsu back to its caster. Even Kakashi went still. Including Tsukuyami, he asked quietly. Naruto nodded once. Silence fell. Shikamaru pushed his glasses up. You mentioned Hinata earlier. Naruto looked away, expression softening. She believed in me, he admitted. I didn't realize it until I was gone. Kakashi studied him carefully. You said you accidentally completed the Rasengan. Sakura frowned. Sensei, what do you mean? Isn't it already complete? Naruto shook his head. My father never finished it, he said. The goal was elemental fusion. Sakura's eyes widened. And your element? Kakashi pressed. Naruto smiled faintly. I'm still a shinobi, he said. I keep my secrets. Kakashi accepted that. But, Naruto added, after the fusion, I'll need chakra paper to confirm. The ground trembled. Not violently, ominously. Naruto's head snapped up. They've crossed the boundary, he muttered. Kakashi tensed. Who? Naruto's expression hardened. The ones who should never have followed us. From deep within the cave system, a foreign chakra began to spread. Cold, hungry, and unmistakably hostile. Naruto stepped forward, power gathering. Stay behind me, he said calmly. And for the first time since his banishment, Naruto Uzumaki prepared to fight for his own future, not Konoha's. Kakashi didn't hesitate. The moment he understood what Naruto needed, he reached into his pouch and pulled out a small square of chakra paper, holding it out silently. Naruto accepted it with a nod. He focused, slowly releasing chakra into the paper. The reaction was immediate. The paper split cleanly down the middle. Then it darkened with moisture. Finally, it blackened completely, crumbling at the edges like scorched ash. I figured, Naruto said calmly. Everyone else froze. Kakashi looked like his heart had skipped several beats. That reaction shouldn't be possible, he muttered. A small pink-haired girl tilted her head. Oi, Cyclops. What's the big deal about paper? Kakashi took a breath, steadying himself. Chakra paper reacts to elemental nature, he explained. Fire burns it. Wind splits it. Lightning crumples it. Earth turns it to dust. Water soaks it. Sakura frowned. Then why did it turn black? Kakashi swallowed. There are two affinities not taught openly, he said. Light and darkness. Naruto nodded. Light aligns with preservation, defense, healing, balance, he added. Darkness amplifies destructive chakra. It strengthens fire, lightning, wind. Silence fell. Naruto glanced at the paper. I gained dark chakra when the Nine Tails stopped being separate from me. Several people stiffened. The fox was made of pure negative emotion, Naruto continued. When I absorbed what remained of it, that chakra became mine. He looked up. That's why I can use every element, even ones I shouldn't. Isshin scratched his head. Then why didn't you use Rasengan that first night? Naruto shrugged. I didn't know if it would work on a spiritual construct. Also, you never mentioned you weren't normal. Isshin laughed nervously. Naruto continued, unfazed. And shadow clones don't function the same way outside my native world. Turns out the technique splits consciousness, not just chakra. He smirked faintly. Which means if someone else had used my chakra, things could have gone very wrong. A small stuffed lion opened its mouth to protest. Naruto looked at it flatly. You're a pervert. The lion collapsed dramatically. Elsewhere, very far away, Jiraiya sneezed violently, moments before being discovered and beaten senseless. Why do I feel blamed, he groaned. The decision. Naruto exhaled slowly and looked around at everyone. That answers your questions, he said. So here's mine. He met their eyes one by one. Do you want to come with me? Yuzu raised her hand timidly. I want to see where you grew up, big brother. Karen crossed her arms. If she's going, I'm going. Isshin nodded. I'm in. Choji shrugged. Sounds fun. Shikamaru yawned. Troublesome, but sure. Oraheim smiled brightly. I'd love to go, Naruto. He turned to Rukia. She hesitated. I'd need permission. It's fine, Naruto said gently. For reasons she didn't understand, her chest ached. Renji scratched his head. I can probably get approval. Naruto smiled. Then we leave in a week. Kakashi blinked. Why a week? Naruto answered easily. I'm teaching them chakra control. He gestured to Choji, Shikamaru, and Oraheim. Choji will adapt fast. Shikamaru next. Oraheim will surprise everyone. He paused. And I need to relearn myself. 1 week later, Naruto's prediction was accurate. Choji adapted within a day. Shikamaru followed 2 days later. Orihime shocked everyone by finishing early. Naruto spent the rest of the week pushing himself, testing limits, relearning balance, refining movement. He fought Kenpachi and learned pain in new ways. But he also learned control. He began developing a twin blade style, fluid, fast, lethal, a dance of movement and misdirection. And somewhere during that week, he went on a date. Flashback, the question. Naruto sat beside Orihime, watching the city lights. He kept glancing at her. Just ask. A voice echoed calmly within him. Naruto frowned. You make it sound easy. You face death without fear, the voice replied. Why fear honesty? Naruto hesitated. What if she doesn't feel the same? Then you'll know, the voice answered. And you won't wonder. Naruto sighed. Orihime, he said carefully. Yes, she replied. Would you like to hang out with me tomorrow? She blinked. As a date. Naruto nodded, scratching his cheek. Her face lit up. Yes. The present. Naruto stood outside the mall, hands in his pockets. Blue jeans, white shirt, black hoodie with an orange spiral. He checked the time. She's late. Then he heard footsteps and turned. I'm not late, am I? Naruto turned and forgot how to breathe. Orihime stood there, hands folded nervously in front of her, wearing a soft pink blouse beneath a light blue jacket, the skirt matching in tone. She looked different. Not flashy, not dramatic, just radiant. And no, Naruto said quickly, rubbing the back of his neck. You're right on time. On impulse, he offered his arm. Orihime's eyes widened before she smiled and slipped her hand through his, her grip warm, real. They spent the evening simply being together. A movie, one of Orihime's strange, wonderful picks. Burgers and shakes afterward, laughing over nothing important. Walking side by side beneath the city lights. Yet beneath it all, Naruto felt it. That pull. The sense that something was watching. Waiting. He ignored it, for her. They talked as they walked. Naruto spoke about plants. How growing something from nothing helped quiet his thoughts. Orihime shared her love of experimenting with food, sometimes disastrously. Naruto laughed and mentioned an old ramen stand from his childhood. A place that had once felt like home. Orihime's eyes sparkled. Then, that's a date too. He agreed without hesitation. When they reached her home, neither wanted the night to end. Tea turned into conversation. Conversation turned quiet. And in that quiet, Orihime spoke. During the date, she said gently, you looked far away. What were you thinking about? Naruto stared into his cup. Konoha, he admitted. Whether I should go back. Whether I can. Memories surfaced, both painful and warm. Faces he'd loved. A village that had broken him. Orihime listened, then softly said, I don't know the right answer, but I believe people will accept your choice. Whatever it is. Naruto smiled, grateful, but still uncertain. Then Orihime took a breath. Naruto, could you close your eyes? He blinked. My eyes. She nodded, cheeks flushed. There's something I've wanted to do. Trusting her, he closed them. Warmth touched his lips. When his eyes opened, Orihime was there. Close, earnest, unafraid. Time slowed. They kissed, tentative at first, then sure. When they finally pulled back, breathless, Orihime rested her forehead against his. I've loved you for a long time, she whispered. And I don't want to choose a world. I want to choose you. Naruto wrapped his arms around her. And for that night, he stayed. Not as a warrior, not as a hero, but as a man who wanted peace. Morning. Orihime woke with a shy smile and a blush she couldn't hide. Naruto was already gone, but the warmth remained. Later, at the cave, Naruto stood alone before the hidden passage between worlds, hands in his pockets, eyes distant. How do you open a gate when you don't know which world your heart belongs to? The air shifted. Footsteps approached. Naruto turned and felt chakra he hadn't sensed in years. Cold, familiar, unwelcome. So, a voice echoed from the shadows, calm and cruel. You finally stopped running. Naruto's eyes narrowed. Danzo. The cave trembled, and the choice Naruto had been avoiding was about to be taken from him.
That's all for now. If you enjoy them, please like, share, and do comment.